Good afternoon, beautiful people. I am just doing my morning meditation as usual, and I'm gonna be honest, it's been kind of a rough time for me. I've been hit with a lot of trials lately, but everything's gonna be okay. Everything is always okay. But as I was just kind of meditating, figuring out how I was gonna live my best life today, I just kind of had this thought, because it's been a rough week on my end. I've been doing a lot of waiting for people to get back to me on things, or people to get back to me on projects. In a very human sense, I've had some interviews, and I've been waiting for people to get back to me on that, and I haven't heard anything, which is disappointing. I've had some trials this week, and I think this is very important. I think for us as a human race. I know the world is in the state that it's in right now. I realize that we're in a transitional stage, and there's a lot of pain going on. In fact, if you actually follow history, a lot of people think that we're at the end of our empire. As all the empires that are around right now in the world are coming to an end. Just because of the historical patterns, or paternal history. Kind of interesting turn of phrase there. So, if you look at history, the United States of America in 10 years might not be the United States of America anymore. So, and if you look at all the reasons why, we are in a very evolutionary stage as a human race, but we are also in a very painful stage, because transformation comes with pain, birth comes with pain, death comes with pain, and the point I'm trying to make is that I think it is so important for us as a human race to realize that, number one, we have plenty to be grateful for always. There's always something to be grateful for, even if it's as simple as a pulse, even if it's as simple as the ability to breathe. There's always something to be grateful for. And if any of you follow me and actually pay attention to my stories, I've talked about this before. Because again, this has been a rough time. We've had a hurricane. The hurricane has long-term effects on where I live. People are losing jobs. I am between jobs. I'm lucky to still have my job, even though I've still struggled to pay my bills, because they haven't been giving much labor to us, labor time, because we haven't been having the sales, because people aren't traveling here as much. We just had a hurricane. So it's been rough, but regardless, there is always something to be grateful for. As I look around me, as I sit before you in this bed, I'm grateful that I have this. This is a big, beautiful, queen-size bed. And that leads me to another thought. I have all of this because I worked hard and I made some sort of sacrifice, whether it be my time, whether it be my energy, which money, let me tell you something about money. The reason we look up to people with money is not because of their level of comfort that they might kind of allude to. Because when you have money, you have a certain level of comfort. But that comfort comes from work. Money, when you have a lot of money, that means that you have sacrificed a lot of your time and energy, that you have sacrificed maybe having a love life because you've focused on that. You have put a lot of time into, a lot of intelligent energy, because money takes intelligence. The way money works and being able to manage a cash flow and actually have a savings, that takes intelligence. When someone has money, that doesn't mean that the grass is greener for nothing. It means that you worked hard, that you made a lot of sacrifices. This bed that I am sitting in took a lot of money. Not to mention, I built this bed with my bare hands from scratch. Wood, screws, and heavy things that I either found off the road or spent hundreds of dollars on. Which this mirror behind me is actually worth probably about $3,000, but it had been in an antique shop for so long because nobody knew what to do with it, that by the time I'd come across it, it had been marked down to $300. I also bought it on Black Friday, so it had been marked down even more. It was actually more like $500, but they marked it down even more because of Black Friday. But just this bed that I am recording this video, this Chromebook that I am recording this video on, I worked and made the money. And to some of you might even seem little, but $300 to me is a lot of money. Some of you, that's like, oh, that's nothing. That's one bill for me. Well, yeah, but it's still a lot of money. You can buy groceries with that. There's a lot you can do with $300. So when it comes to how you invest things, where you invest them, any type of investment is a sacrifice. Sacrifices have to be made daily in order to get anything for yourself. And I think that we need to embrace that no matter what, you have to make sacrifices. But we should also appreciate what we have around us because we made sacrifices. And the same goes in turn for looking at another person, because the phrase and the saying that the grass is never greener on the other side is really true. It's very true. If that grass is greener, it's because somebody worked very hard to preserve and nurture that grass so that it's greener. So when you look at anybody, you have to understand just by looking at them how much they sacrifice every day. And it's not a contest either of who sacrifices more. That's how we start victimizing ourselves. No, we need to appreciate the things we have because of the sacrifices that we made, and we need to do the same for others. And if you hear someone complaining about what they don't have, the simple concept is this: the reason you don't have what you need is because you didn't make the sacrifices to get it. Even if it's as simple as just sacrificing some time to get on your phone, which all of us in America have. Not everyone has a phone. In fact, in the world, there are places where people don't have phones. Still, in this day and age. So considering that you have a whole catalyst of knowledge right at your fingertips here in America, if you're living in America, that is, or in a at least second world country where people have phones, that's even something to be grateful for. Because if you need anything, you can figure out a way to get it right at your fingertips. So when I see people victimizing themselves in any way, I grow very hard. My heart grows very hard. And I also can say this. Even when I see a homeless person, it's not that I don't empathize with a homeless person. And it depends on where I am too. In New Orleans, where I live, being homeless is kind of a hustle. A lot of people just don't want to work. They just want things to be handed to them, or they want to go out on Bourbon Street and drink. Or they have jobs, but not homes, because the money that they get off the street is not for their home or for their food. It's to go buy meth. It's a real thing that happens with homeless people here. And so, from my perspective, if you're going to tell me a sob story and then ask me for 50 cents, when I struggle and sacrifice to make my money and still have a hard time paying my bills, I'm sorry, but I'm going to look at you like you're stupid. Because you're sitting there and complaining and expecting me to give you a handout when, where's my handout? I worked for what I got. You know? And I think we all need to adopt that mentality. You need to work for what you have. Even if you're born... Here's another thing. You know, people look at people that are born into rich families and automatically think, well, you got it easy. You had a better foundation than I did growing up. Which I will admit, I oftentimes feel that way. Oh, and another little thing to mention with the homeless people angle of this that I brought up. I actually was homeless twice. I've been homeless twice. I am only 26 years old, and I've been homeless twice. And each time that I was homeless, I had a job. I was actually working so that I could still pay my bills and scrap to save money and get a place for myself, like get a home for myself, earn a home for myself. You know, I actually was a decent homeless person. And few people helped me. Family members even. Few family members helped me. So when it comes to homeless people, believe me, I can empathize. But back to my point about people that are born into rich families. Sure, it might seem easier because you have a roof over your head that's probably a lot nicer and a way more stable foundation, you know, with, you know, education a lot more accessible, you know, a better education accessible. Sure, you may have those things, but you have to understand too that when you're born into a family like that, you're automatically thrown into this really like high pressure system where you are pressured. Like money plays such a big role in your life, and it's over dramatized to the point to where sometimes people are cold when they are brought up in these atmospheres where it's all about money, because you have to, you know, if you're born into that family, that kind of family where you're rich, you know, carrying on that legacy, you know, mastering the cash flow yourself so that your family can remain in that state of comfort, you know, it's a lot of pressure. And so many times, you know, filthy rich people like, you know, I don't know if Warren Buffett has kids, but if he does and they didn't turn out so good, it's probably because of the amount of pressure that was put onto them from birth to like following your parents' footsteps, carry on the family legacy, you know, do it for yourself like just as well as your parents. Like you have to walk in your parents' shadow, and also get in a place to where you're not like costing the family money by like it's so run by money that a lot of times, people that grow up in families like that end up kind of emotionally messed up or unavailable, you know, unless you're lucky. That's another thing that is rare, but it happens. There are good rich people out there that raise their kids right and try to make sure they have emotional health and that they're good and truly teach them how to do it themselves. I mean, there's a full spectrum in that aspect too. But my point is, even if the grass is greener on the other side, it took a lot of work and sacrifice to keep it that green. And we need to get out of this lazy mentality, because we forget often how convenient our lives are. Our lives are convenient. We have so much convenience in our lives, in this country, in this part of the world. We have so much convenience that we've grown lazy and unattached and completely unempathetic to what true intimacy is. And if I'm going to be honest with you guys and blunt, which I always am, when I get in my moods where I get depressed, I see all of that. I see all of the terrible things that we have let happen to ourselves, what we've let ourselves become, what we've done to the world. Look at the earth, how much plastic waste is in the ocean. Look at the animals that have gone extinct and the ones that are. We did this. And in order to get ourselves out of this mess of having a pandemic, having the state of our atmosphere being out of control with climate change, the amount of pollution, the lack of trees, the extinction of animals, the lack of intimacy, the lack of knowledge, the lack of education on every front, to the point to where we are behind. We're not advancing. We're behind. Yes, people are awakening spiritually, but you don't even know what that means yet. The most of you that claim that you're awakening, you don't even know what that means yet. I am not even going to act like I know what it means yet. I just simply observe things. I've read a couple of books and I observe things. I like to read books instead of sitting on my phone all day and looking at nonsense. Because don't get me wrong, I have an Instagram. I love to be on YouTube and listen to music or watch, art. I enjoy art. I enjoy the entertainment. But I also take time to exercise my brain. In fact, wrong. To exercise my brain. To exercise my spirit. To exercise my emotions. To exercise my feelings on humanity. I take time every day to do that, because I think that sacrifice has to be made for us as a human race to move forward. And also, last but not least, don't just think about what you sacrifice and what you earn with your sacrifice. When you are in any situation that isn't just involving you, which is most situations in life, and if you're a shut-in and an introvert, I don't care. You are still going to have situations where you deal with people. Don't just think about what you are sacrificing. Think about what everyone is sacrificing just to be here, just to be standing in front of you. Because one way or another, we're all sacrificing something. If someone is standing in front of you and having a conversation with you, there's two things right away they're sacrificing. They're sacrificing their energy. In fact, there's at least three. Energy, their breath, and their time. They could be using that time completely selfishly to be making money and not even caring about you. or just selling you something. It could be all about them. They could just be selling you something. But they're there in front of you, giving you their time, their energy, and their breath. And those are things that are beyond price. You can't put a price on those things. They're truly priceless. So, and I am getting emotional because this is a topic that I really think we all need to start considering day to day, is what the word sacrifice means and what it truly looks like to see the fruits of your sacrifices instead of sitting and complaining about what you don't have, or complaining that you don't have what you need. Everything you need, you truly need, is in front of you. Use it. Use what you have to get what you will need for the future, because that's why it's there. And if you don't have what you need to get to that conceptual future, that means that you don't truly need that now. That means that your focus should be elsewhere. Your sense of direction should be elsewhere. So, I wish you all many blessings, and yes, this was a much more serious video, but I'm sure you can see why. And I wish you guys all many blessings. It's been a pleasure meditating with you all today.